The Alpha Sessions.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Alpha Sessions. And with me in the studio, I am delighted to be joined by Maz from Frankie Morrow. Welcome down.
Hello.
Thanks for coming to the Alpha Sessions. We've had an amazing few songs. We've worked you hard today because we've actually had, I think, 5 songs altogether, some of which you'll hear in this programme and some others we're going to hold back for some specials later in the year. So that's exciting stuff. So you're here solo today, but you're part of a 5-piece band, aren't you? So talk us through how Frankie Morrow went from a solo project to what it is now.
Yeah, sure. So I'd kind of been sitting on a lot of songs for many years, but kind of just never had the confidence, honestly, to like get it going. And I met Neve, as we were kind of speaking about earlier, but I met her about 4 or 5 years ago, I think. And we started doing open mics together, and she really took me under her wing, and I kind of like began to grow in confidence and was like, okay, I need to actually start recording. Then obviously the pandemic happened, but it did mean that I recorded loads of material at home. And then I think I kind of had started playing some solo shows, and I just, all of the instrumentation that I had kind of created for the EP was just band led. Like, it really wasn't a solo project anymore. And so I was like, I'm going to need to recruit some people. And James, our bassist, always laughs at me because he says that there was this annual message that he'd get at Christmas time from me saying, hey, like, wanting to start in a band, like, do you want to be in it? But it took years to finally actually get in and be like, right, we're doing it, which is what happened last year in 2022. We finally got in the studio in January. And me and James and Duncan, so James and Duncan I know from home. Right. We all grew up in Paisley in different schools, but we're kind of in the same scene. And me and James were in a band together when we were like 15 years old. But they've been living down in London, so I was like, okay, right, we need to like get in the studio and kind of workshop these songs and see what's going on. And then from there, Neve got involved, and Sam... How did Sam get involved? We had a friend, actually. It was a Neve gig. I went to go see Neve, and Sam was playing that night. And we were both absolutely blown away. And me and Neve actually ran our own like YouTube session channel. Yeah. It was very low-key in her back garden. But anyway, we invited him to come down and play that. And so we became friends and stuff.
So it sounds like a very natural progression then, really. As you say, you'd sort of all been together one way or the other for quite a long time. And you mentioned that you were from Paisley, so you were the last one to move down to London, were you, to kind of form the band down here?
Actually, I think Duncan maybe, I think, has been here a few years, actually. I think he might have been the last, but everybody else, I think, was before me. Yeah, Sam's been here for about over a decade, yeah. So he shows us the ropes as well.
That's brilliant. And did you always know you wanted to be part of a band, or when you set off, did you always think that there might be a chance you go solo?
No, I always wanted it to be a band. I just think I didn't know where to start. Yeah. I just didn't know where to start. And then, as you say, I was so lucky that it happened so organically and with people who I already knew and loved and like knew it would kind of work. Because I think that's quite a hard thing to actually get people who not only musically understand each other but who are actually friends as well. You know, it's like a really rare thing.
Yeah, you get the best of everything. You get the great social and you get to hang out with them as a band as well, which is brilliant, isn't it? And some of the others you say also do some other stuff with their own bands as well. So talk us through that side.
Yeah, so Neve has her own project under her name, so NWV, and she released her debut album in spring, I think in April of this year. She's signed to a label called Trapped Animal, who are based up in Cambridge. And then Sam, he puts his music out under Samuel Nicholson, and he just released a record called Birthday Suit, which is incredible, in June, I want to say. So he just finished like a kind of big tour supporting that. He's got a show actually at the Windmill coming up very soon. But yeah, so everybody is just off busy doing their own things.
And you all go around supporting each other's sort of individual projects then, basically, which is great.
Yeah, so because obviously Sam's and Frankie, I'm and Neve. Sam also contributed to Neve's record, I've done some BVs, Neve's done some BVs for Sam's record, so it's kind of all, yeah.
And did you, when you were solo, you recorded under the name Frankie Morrow? That was a thing that happened straight away, was
it? Not exactly. It was actually, I think I was planning to put it under my own name, which is Maria McMillan, but I just felt that it made it too singer-songwritery for the kind of music that I wanted to make, because I knew in my mind that I wanted it to be kind of ambiguous and for us to not be bound particularly to one genre and things like that. And then, yeah, the name really came from my grandparents, actually. So my grandpa was Francis Morrow. He married another Francis who became Francis Morrow, and they had a daughter called Francis Morrow. Wow. And so I was just like, oh, this is perfect. And I liked that it was like a family tie.
Well and truly part of the family, isn't it?
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
talk us about like growing up in Paisley and stuff. Were you always wanting to be in music, and did you have any sort of family already in the music business?
I did. Well, actually, I always wanted to be a writer, actually. I remember when I was like 8 or 9, I got obsessed with Jacqueline Wilson, you know, like Tracy Beaker. Yeah. And I thought I still think she's like the coolest. Jacqueline Wilson, not Tracy Beaker. But so, yeah, she kind of inspired me to start writing, I guess. And then I found the guitar. I actually started playing guitar when I was 6, so quite young. And I wrote my first song quite young as well. I think I was like, first proper song, maybe like 14 years old or something. Okay.
I was going to say, I was obviously going to ask you, do you remember the song from when you were 6?
Yeah, unfortunately not, but it's probably for the best.
Such a shame, because that was going to be the next thing, but never mind.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And then did I have anybody that I knew? Not particularly. My cousin was in a band, and he had like a lighting company that went around with some pretty cool bands in Scotland and stuff, but not, I'm trying to think, not directly, I don't think. Actually, to be honest, that was kind of what always was a bit tricky about getting off the ground, was that I didn't really know anybody that did it, and so it was a big old mystery to get into, you know.
And even growing up in Paisley, was there much of a scene or anywhere to kind of link up with other artists in that area?
I mean, we had Paolo Nutini,
yes.
You know. We went to the same school. That is me.
Oh, wow. Okay. Claim to fame, yeah.
Classic claim to fame. But there was actually, to be fair, there was an amazing kind of like youth club that we used to go to, which is actually kind of where we met Duncan, our drummer, and me and James used to hang out, called Create, because they used to have these events that they would put on. We were like, I don't know, like, as I say, 14 or 15 and stuff. And they created like a space where you could go and start bands, and they did like, I think they did like writing workshops and stuff, and just gave like young people like a space to actually make music for the first time. So yeah, we made like loads of great friends there, actually. Yeah.
And you got Paolo on speed dial now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. As a result of
that. Yeah, I'm sure he's listening anyway. So now, as part of the band, you're the main songwriter still, or do other parts of the band get involved in the songwriting as well? How does that work? So
it has been me primarily up until this point, and we've just been working on some new tracks, which also have been primarily me. But we do want to create an album at some point, hopefully in the next couple of years. And we've been doing some jam sessions where, so like usually I'll come in with a like fairly fully formed thing, but like song ideas have been coming out from like riffs or like a drum beat, or you know, kind of more like that, which has been really interesting. And I want to do more of that in order to, I still feel like we're kind of still finding our identity as a band, because we only have one EP out so far, so, which is an exciting thing though.
Well, absolutely. It's a brilliant EP, and we're going to come on to it in a minute. But in terms of the songwriting process, what is your songwriting process, and has it changed since you've been part of the band?
My songwriting process is generally trying to sleep and not being able to, because an idea is like going round and round in my head. But Yeah, I mean, I guess I write mostly from personal experience, I would say, generally. And usually it starts with me and an acoustic guitar, like very kind of natural in a bedroom, or I have a wee kind of studio in our flat now. And just, yeah, I suppose just time to think and time to process things. But in terms of how it's changed, I suppose when I'm like creating demos now, which will have like, I mean, like terrible MIDI drums on them, but like it will give Duncan an idea of like the kind of thing that I'm hearing. So I suppose like when I'm kind of writing different parts, I'm imagining the different members of the band who are like going. I mean, I come with like skeleton and they make it what it is. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
they like flesh out the ideas.
I was going to say, do you find it harder because obviously you're writing from a lot of personal experiences, but when you're writing for yourself, it's one thing. If you're taking it to sort of 4 other people, does there feel like, oh, what if they don't like it? You know, how does that dynamic work? Are they all quite honest with you, or they just go along with whatever you think? And you can be honest, you know. Let's out them all now.
No, I think because everyone is so nice, I don't think they would ever be like, that is terrible. But I can like probably tell if something is really good or if it's like, yeah, it's okay, but like we don't really come back to it. So what I'll do usually is have like a batch of songs and I'll be like, listen to these, and then we'll come back as a group and listen to them and kind of go through, okay, what ones do we actually want to work on? And you kind of sift through them that way.
Yeah.
But generally it's the ones actually I think that I'm most passionate about do generally sort of rise to the top, just because they probably have some sort of like you can you know, you can hear the resonance that hopefully that then translates to other people.
Well, let's talk about this this debut EP that you released last year, which, by the way, has an amazing title, Blue Parrot Backpackers Hostel. Where did that title come from is obviously the first question I'm going to ask.
Yeah, that is a tongue twister.
It is. I'm amazed I got that out first time, actually.
I know. I'm really impressed. I don't usually. So it came from, well, so the debut EP was basically about a breakup, as lots of EPs and albums and songs are about. And that was the place that like me and my ex had first met. But not only that, it was kind of like my it was the first time I'd like not been living at home. I was living out in Sydney. I was staying in this hostel, and I remember this moment of kind of like having to really push myself to talk to people. And I kind of named it that in terms of like you kind of just always, you have those moments where you want to close up, but you need to, they're actually the moments you need to like lean into. And I guess I've kind of done that musically as well, so it kind of felt quite fitting to use that place as a reference.
And were all the songs on the EP written about the breakup? They were all written for the EP specifically, were they?
Yeah, they were, most of them written a long time ago, actually. Like Satisfaction, I think, is one of the oldest ones that I wrote when I was actually living out there.
Right.
And then Sunflowers was maybe like a few years ago. Sirens it's probably the most recent actually to now, which was probably maybe like 2 years ago. But Sirens feels very much like still the kind of music that we're making now, which is quite nice. It's quite a good through line, I think. Although the version of Sirens on the EP is still fairly acoustic, whereas now it's like rock, which has been quite fun to take it and just bash it up, basically.
It's almost like covering your own song, really, isn't it? Yeah, I love that. Well, we're going to hear a stripped back version of Sirens now, so tell us a little bit about that song.
Sirens, yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of about memories that come back to you like sirens do. You know, I suppose when I was living in Shepherd's Bush, I was living on, what's that road? Holland Road, you know, a really busy main road, and there was sirens like going past every night. But I think I just like drew parallels of how you get like flashbacks to different memories. That was kind of those siren moments. Well, I found all the letters that I wrote to you in a shoebox in the cupboard, hidden away from view. They were weighted with words like love and truth. The paper weighed so heavy, so I put them out with the pizza boxes that had been building up for days on my countertops, and I thought, is this really what it all comes down to? Who paid that bill? Was it me or was it you? Well, just stare right up at the ceiling, and my heart rises up to the occasion, finds a voice from way beyond my means, and I ask if you still love me, but you just get up, walk around.
The Alpha Sessions.
In terms of the EP that we talked about briefly, I read that you had an all-female engineering team for that. Was that an important thing for you? When you were putting it together?
It was. It was an important thing and still is, to be honest. I think, I mean, I was quite lucky actually with Taylor. It was actually through Neve that I got to know Taylor, because she had worked with another engineer from Strong Room Studios. I don't know if you know Strong Room. And it just so happened that Taylor was free. I gave her a call and we just got on like a house on fire. And actually we've ended up then going back and recording with Taylor some brand new songs that will come out later this year and next year. So
watch this space.
Yes.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And you clearly love touring. You don't have to watch too many YouTube videos to see just what an amazing vibe you get from your touring. And one of the highlights this year, I'm assuming, is playing Glastonbury. Yeah. Tell us how that all came about.
Yeah, we were really lucky actually, because the Bread and Roses in Clapham basically have a stage at Glastonbury, and so they like run this. It's almost like a kind of like showcase, like Battle of the Bands type thing. And we ended up doing, a band pulled out really last minute, and Scotty, who runs it, absolute legend, basically emailed us and was like, can you do this gig? Like, sorry, it's last minute, blah, blah, blah. And we were like, well, obviously, if it's, if it's to get a chance to play at Glastonbury, yeah, I think we can be free.
You don't tell
yeah.
that down, do you know?
Yeah, I'm washing my hair that night, sorry. But yeah, and yeah, we were very, very lucky that they liked us and invited us to play. So we ended up actually playing 3 times over the festival. And we just had the time of our lives, honestly. It was incredible. And the weather was so good.
Yeah,
it was
just
a dream. Yeah.
So is the dream one day, pyramid stage? Like,
That's it. You heard it here first.
Absolutely, yeah. Tell us about some of the highlights of some of the places that you've gigged at. What's been the best ones for you?
Best gigs, I mean, obviously Glastonbury being a highlight. Seabright Arms that we did our EP launch at last year. I absolutely loved the Seabright. It's just like that classic underground, sweaty, like, oh, let's just go. I love those kind of venues. I want to like really feel in it, Trying to think of other places. The Hug and Pint. We played King Tut's actually in the summer. That was really cool because I've seen so many great bands that I love. And it's such an institution in Glasgow.
It's legendary, isn't it? Yeah.
So much history. Yeah. So that was a really cool place to play.
Are the audiences in Scotland very different to the audiences in London, would you say?
I think there's like, I don't know. I feel like there is probably more... Sometimes I feel like you don't know whether a show is going well or not. That's not just London though. Like, I think sometimes in Europe as well, because people are so polite and you're like, I hope they like this.
Yeah.
But then people come up after you and be like, no, like was really into it.
Yeah. That's it, because sometimes, and this is what you said you loved about the Seabright Arms, where you're kind of really in amongst people almost.
Yeah, you're like on top of them.
Yeah. So have you got any venues that you haven't played that you kind of think, I'd really want to play there?
Yes, loads. I love the Electric Ballroom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely love that venue, and it's just like one of the first places I think that I went to see shows when I came down here. So it's just like sentimental, but also I just love it because I think it's like the perfect size for bands who are like decently well known, but it's not too big. Mm-hmm. I think I do kind of generally prefer like smaller to medium venues, I would say. Although arena gigs obviously have their place, but like there's nothing quite beats that like intimacy of someone you really love. If
the pyramid stage comes calling, you won't turn it down.
Yeah, that is a good point.
But no, a lot of people say that the smaller intimate gigs where you've kind of got I suppose it depends, a really respectful crowd in some cases, but if you've got like the 5-piece and it's kind of very rocky, you want to see people rocking out a bit. Yeah,
totally. And also there's just so many indie bands who aren't that big, but they are amazing, and like the chance to actually just hear their music when it feels so accessible, that to me is just the best.
Who have you seen recently in the way of up and coming bands that you think, they're amazing?
Oh, well, I haven't seen them yet, but I heard a band actually a couple of days ago called Witch Elm from Bristol, and they are just incredible, like alt rock, very, very up my street. To be fair, she's not up and coming, she's established, but Rachel Sermani, if you know her.
Yeah, amazing.
Absolutely love her stuff. Yeah, she's got a record coming out, I think, very soon.
Oh, well, if you're listening then, Rachel, could be a collaboration on the card too. And apart from the gigging side, do you enjoy the rest of the promotional side? I mean, obviously a big thing is social media. We can't get away from it. We talked about it earlier on, updating our Instagram and our TikTok now and X and everything else. Do you spend a lot of time on it yourself, or is it a bit that you sort of try and have as less dealing with as possible?
I think it's kind of nearly impossible to not. Yeah. I'd try with all of my heart to see it as a positive thing, because I think it is so easy to like get overwhelmed actually with like the amount of channels that you need to keep up to date. But I think like trying to use it as a way of like connecting with people, I think makes me think about it in a different way. Because I think it can like definitely get you down a little bit, especially if you're thinking too much about like, oh, that post did well, that one didn't, like, I think as long as you concentrate honestly on making real art that you believe in, that is going to communicate across whatever medium that you choose to put that on a platform, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, definitely. And is it easier actually doing that as part of a band, because it takes the sort of the focus all off of you, like, and sort of spreads it out between all of you a little bit more?
Yes, definitely. I really like that actually as well, because we've all got quite different personalities, so I think it'd be nice, like, through this kind of next collection of songs, to almost like kind of allow people to get to know the different voices, because it's generally me that runs like our socials and stuff, but it would be cool to have, like, I don't know if we had like a Spotify playlist where Duncan picks the tunes for that week or something like that, so that people can kind of get to know each of us individually as well.
There are a lot of opportunities, I guess, to get new music out now in the way that there wasn't before, but obviously there's a lot of competition as well. I mean, do you think it's easier or harder now to get new music out there to people than it was, a few years ago, maybe when you started the process?
I think that it's easier to create high quality music from home because of how accessible like technology has made it. For example, like Logic. I mean, most of the EP was recorded at my house, Neve or Sam's house, other than the drums were in a studio. That's something that I just think people wouldn't have really been able to do before. But then on the flip side, I guess, I think there was a lot more money in record labels and things like that, whereas now people are less likely to take a punt on you. I think that you need to almost prove that you're already established, you've already got a following before people will maybe get involved. So I suppose that's a bit different.
Well, let's hear another track from you now, and this is another one taken from your EP from last year called White Rocks, which is my favourite track off the EP. Actually, it's a brilliant track. Tell us a bit about this one.
It's so funny chatting about these because it feels like such a long time, but it wasn't really. It only came out last year. But yeah, I mean, I guess this song is kind of just about a tumultuous relationship and managing that, really. Stupid things we've done, they're gonna bring me to my feet. You've been lying to your mother, you've been lying to your brother, you've been lying, you've been lying to your father. Not that it even matters, you've been lying to me. Guess we all gotta lie sometimes, 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 sometimes. We gotta lie. White rock shall be the death of me. White rock shall be the death. White rocks will be the death. And we dance around the question. Nobody's even really listening. It's wild. Hearts beat a little faster. I keep on talking at you and you right back at me. But now the truth comes spilling out like oil on the ground, and I'm petrified. Guess we all gotta cry sometimes, 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 sometimes. We gotta cry. Wait, rock, she'll be the death of me. Wait, rock, she'll be the death of me. Wait, rock, she'll be the death of you. Wait, rock, she'll be the death of me. Wait, rock, she'll be the death. Wait, rock, she'll be the death. Wait, rock, she'll be the death of me. You talk laws about love, oh, but you don't have the heart for it.
The Alpha Sessions.
So that was White Rocks from Maz, from Frankie Morrow, who's here in the studio with us today, here on the Alpha Sessions. So let's start talking about some of the new tracks then, of which you've performed a couple for us today, and we'll have a sneak preview of those at some point in the future. But your last single that you released was a track called Crave, which is out earlier on this year, which is actually quite a change in musical direction, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
How did that come about? Did you decide you wanted to consciously go in a different direction?
Yes, I do. I think it was conscious, actually. Although, to be fair, I think it was conscious, but it also evolved like that, if that makes sense. Because basically, we put out our last EP, and then there was a bit of a lag almost in terms of us as a band then performing live, because our show was already a lot rockier than when what we actually had out. So it's nice to put Crave out there and kind of like start this next chapter and like, kind of change up our sound a little bit. It's definitely much heavier, I think, than before.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it fair to say that the EP was more sort of folky, really, in style, wasn't it? Whereas this is much more sort of indie pop rock, I suppose.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know if you've had the same comparison, but as I was listening to it, I was thinking Garbage from the 90s.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's sick.
It's brilliant, honestly. I loved it. And a little bit of sort of Susie and the Banshees at some point as well.
You know, we have had them before.
Really?
Both of which I'm like, yes, I will take those home with me.
Yeah, absolutely love it.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's new stuff that you've got coming out, of which you've got some more this year, hopefully.
Yes.
But is that going along that sort of style then? Is that the sort of style you're aiming for now?
Yes, I would say we're pretty much in sort of indie rock, alt rock, definitely, for the new stuff. Yeah. There is like still quieter moments as well and still acoustic led stuff, but I think I just enjoy like the sound that we make when we're going for it, and I'm on my electric and I'm just able to really get into it in a way that I kind of can't access when it's just me and an acoustic guitar. I suppose it is more of a performance as well. Yes, I suppose it's a wee bit more theatrical in that sense, but I really enjoy the kind of different sides of it.
Do each of you in the band have sort of similar musical tastes, or do you all have something completely different and you kind of all bring something different in that way?
All quite different, actually. Like, there's definitely, it's like kind of Venn diagram of like, there's bands that we all can agree on, but then like Sam, for example, loves jazz. I mean, and actually so does Neve, to be honest. Like, there's loads of different genres that I guess we maybe pay slight homage to in smaller ways, like throughout the songs. Yeah.
Who would you say you cite as some of your biggest musical influences?
Well, I kind of always say like Bob Dylan was like a big first one, because he was like the first ever gig I went to when I was 11 years old.
Oh, really?
Was me and my dad went to a Bob Dylan
Wow,
concert.
that is a high bar
Which
for
is
first
so
gig.
funny as an 11-year-old as well, because I was like listening to Avril Lavigne obviously as
Yeah.
well, but didn't get tickets to her.
Right.
But there was a spare one going. I think my mum must have. I don't know. I don't actually even know why I ended up going, to be honest. But yeah, because for a long time I didn't get it, and I was like, I'll put that off. Like, what is that? And then I obviously realised the error of my ways. But
So did you at that moment, was that a game changer for you? You went along to that and you thought, wow, this is the music I want to listen to now.
I think maybe not like quite after that, but definitely through. I've kind of always felt, I suppose, like a bit of an old soul. Like a lot of the songwriting I love is like definitely kind of older. I don't like make music that's massively produced. Like even though the newer songs are kind of using electric guitar and synths and stuff, it's still like there's still lots of natural sounds in there that I don't know, there's a magic in it that I just love. Yeah.
Do you have a particular era for music that you listen back to now? I mean, what's your decade, would you say, if you pick the best decade for music?
You know, I've been really getting into the 90s.
Have you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's definitely a 90s influence in that.
Yeah, you can hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was born in 95, right? So like I didn't get to experience 90s music. So it's been really cool as an adult. Like also, right, like it's really weird, but I didn't really listen to bands that much growing up. So I only feel like I'm actually forming my musical taste as an adult, which has been quite interesting. So yeah, I've been like massively getting into the 90s. Like I only listened to Radiohead for the first time this year, which
Really?
is insane. Yeah,
Wow.
I know.
So did you have the radio on a lot growing up, and were you listening to sort of the mainstream pop stuff at the time, and now you've gone back?
Yeah, it would have been very much like top 40. That alongside my mum and dad's record collection, so lots of ABBA.
Right.
Neil Diamond.
Yeah. We have plenty of that down here as well.
Eva Cassidy.
Yeah.
Joan Armatrading.
And do you love listening
Jimi
to
Hendrix.
that stuff? I mean, you know, if you heard an ABBA track, would you?
I'd be up there.
Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those hooks. Oh my God.
I mean, it is genius, isn't it? If you write a song that's an earworm like that, good luck.
Yeah, we have a little, I don't know if you heard that synth line in Crave, but we say that's like our ABBA moment.
Yeah.
There's a little moment.
Yeah.
I think it's in the pre-chorus that we're like, that's our little ABBA moment now.
But I mean, could you see yourself as a band, like experimenting with kind of going very pop, or, you know, releasing a dance track or whatever? Or do you think, is anything
nothing
possible?
is off limits.
Yeah.
Nothing. I definitely operate in that. Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what's going to come out.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea the kind of music we'll make in like 20 years' time. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, me too. We're going to get you back in to find out. Hopefully we'll still be here as well. So one of the new tracks that you've got coming out is a track called Cruel.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about this one then.
Yes. So Cruel, I wrote, I think it would have been in like November, sort of Christmas of last year, so 2022. And it was inspired by quite a specific event, actually. I'd basically gone back home for some drinks, and sometimes I think when I don't know, you've moved away and you go back, like there can be that kind of like interest in like what you've been up to or what someone in your life's been up to, blah blah blah. Anyway, I had a bit of an unfortunate conversation around that, which I've basically just wrote into a song because how I expressed my frustration at life is just, let's just tell everybody about this.
And did that said person then listen to the track and think, oh, that was what that was about?
Quite possibly. I hopefully will never find out.
No,
if they
fair
do.
enough. Well, we look forward to that coming out. And then, without giving all the details away, because I know you can't give everything away, but what lies next for the rest of this year and maybe early into next year?
Yes, so we have definitely recorded some new songs that will be kind of coming out over the next kind of like 6 months or maybe sooner. And we're also planning to do a kind of live session, full band live session as well, which is really cool. And we'll probably do a mixture of old and new songs for that. And we just finished recording a music video as well for Cruel, actually, which will be coming out. It's very unhinged. It's like a kind of spooky comedy horror type thing.
Oh, I can't wait to see that.
It's very silly but very fun.
Did you have a lot of input into the creation of that, or?
Yes, I wrote the entire script, but we were working with an amazing videographer called Felix Ursel, who actually did Neve's videos for her album.
Okay.
He's incredible. So he got on board when I told him about it and was like, yeah, took it and ran, sort of thing.
Is that something you'd love to do with all of your tracks, is to put videos together? Because again, there's a debate now about, to music video or to not.
I know. It's a shame that I think it's definitely a medium that's not as kind of widely used now, I guess, because it used to be such a thing where you would sit down and it was like really part of a track release. But I personally love music videos. I really enjoy making them. It's interesting to kind of apply the same principles but to like a different kind of art, and it's just really interesting to me. I really enjoy it, and I think because like I worked in TV before and stuff, it feels like quite a natural thing to do, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, well, I can't wait to see that then. Look out for the new music video. And if people want to find out more about you, where can they go?
Yeah, so on Instagram, Frankie Morrow Music, Facebook the same, Frankie Morrow Music. We're on all streaming services, and we now have a TikTok, also Frankie Morrow Music. Yeah,
it's the way forward, isn't it? There's no escaping it anymore.
It is.
Good luck with that. And thank you so much for coming down. We're looking forward to some more new music later in the year, and make sure you check back to our YouTube channel because we'll have more special performances from Maz and Frankie Morrow later on in the year. Thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
Where have you been? I wanna know. All of these years they've come and gone. What have you said? Who have you heard? Mariana, I'm watching you. Oh, how the badness, it breaks my heart to think about it. Who you once were to me, my blood's pounding. I used to look up to you, now I look through you. Do you cry? Yourself to sleep night. Why you gotta be so cruel? What did I do to you? What did I do? 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 Eyes on the prey, bide your time. Sip of your drink before you wreck mine. Ask me how she is, heard it on the vine. She needs help, who do you think you are? She looks just like an angel, but her claws are killer fatal. The holier than thou, I don't work on me, baby. I used to look up to you, now I look through you. Do you cry? Yourself to sleep now. Why you gotta be so cruel? What did I do to you? What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? What Get my family name out of your terrible mouth. Get my family name out of your terrible mouth. Get my family name out of your terrible mouth. Do you cry yourself to sleep now? Why you gotta be so